Okay, so my name is Johannes. I'm part of. It's really awful, or? I don't know. Okay. Better. Okay. My name is Johannes. I'm part. No. I'll just ignore it. Okay. Part of Monochrom, and we were really proud when the CCC approached us and invited us to give a lecture about a couple of our projects and stuff we do. And we thought a long time about, that's something maybe interesting for the US American citizens in here. We the people under construction. Okay, good. But skip that, we're in Germany. Okay, so we thought a long time about possible titles for today's talk, and then we thought maybe we call it No Power for Theory and or Practice. And we thought, no, lots of practice here. Let's go to a different title. Let's call it There's Something Rotten in the State of Argentina. And we thought, far away and talking about neoliberalism all the time, so maybe another title. Maybe I Never Promised You a Roswell Report. We thought maybe we have a couple of segments here interested in that. Maybe that's not a good title either. Or Entropy in the UK. I think that's something that could be new kind of movement. Or New German Dark Wafers, We're Gonna Find You. And I'm sure. Or Jesus Loves You More Than You Will Know. Woo, woo, woo. Whatever. I mean, we found our Jesus. He had a talk yesterday, Mr. Lessig, you know. Lessig is Lessig. Although I'm not completely sure about his ideological background, because Lessig is nice, but he's a liberal, and I could consider myself a leftist. So the concept of freedom that he's talking about, I think is not the same concept of freedom that I'm talking about. But whatever. Okay, let's go to the next possible title. We are great together, the liberal society and its enemies, and that may fit for Mr. Lessig too. Okay, good. We are here at a hacker congress, so we thought presenting ourselves in a proper way. So we made a render image with nice bubbles and stuff like that. A couple of our team members, but today I'd like to talk not about ourselves and who we are, but why we're doing our stuff and about a couple of projects that we did in the past time. And it was really interesting that I think it was a year or two ago, a journalist called us context hackers. And that's maybe one of the reasons why the CCC invited us, because we are into let's call it context hacking, okay? And I'd like to tell you a short story about a project, an intervention that happened a couple of years ago. And the pre-story for that is that we at Monochrom were invited to be the official Austrian national representatives at the Biennial in Sao Paulo in Brazil. So you have to know, if you're not totally familiar with the art context, we aren't either. There are a big art events in the world. Number one is the Venice Biennial. The second one would probably be the Documenta in Kassel, Germany, and the third is actually the Biennial in Sao Paulo. That are big art, super mega structures with hundreds and millions of dollars and people and whatever. They're really big. And it was really interesting because in the year 2000 there was in Austria, and we are from Austria, a neoliberal shift, let's call it. Because in the year 2000 there was a new coalition between the conservatives and the right-wing or far right-wing Freedom Party. So there was a change in the Austrian political system in 2000, and just a year later, we were invited to go to Brazil, to the Biennial, to represent this tiny little racist thing called Austria in Brazil, okay? So we had a little bit of a problem with that. It was really a nice gesture to invite us, because actually, of course, not the government or an government art institution invited us, but the government art institution invited a curator, and the curator invited us. That's the way it works, okay? So, and we thought, actually, we don't want to represent Austria there. We have a really big problem going there, like just a year or a year and a half after the big, like, black and blue coalition starting to Brazil. But we thought a little bit about what we could do there. And we had the idea of not going ourselves as monochrom, but to send somebody else there. So somebody else should do our job. And then we thought, who could do it? And then we came in contact with a really nice artist called Georg Paul Thomann. Georg Paul Thomann, he was 57 years back then, in 2001, 2002. Big Austrian artist, doing stuff for like a couple of years. Rather famous, I don't know. But we decided it would be a nice statement, not going like a young, urban, fashionable art group going there, but like a 57-year-old artist called Georg Paul Thomann. Fuck it! There's the fucking Austrian Pirate Party, they're all the time Skyping with me. But actually, a couple of them are sitting there. Thank you, Austrian Pirate Party, for the Skype chest. Okay. If it should... come on, I have to stop it. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck, he's using Windows! Where is it? There it is. Hey, bin wieder zurück. Ja, klar. Sehr gut. Yeah, okay, good. Ta-ta, modern technology. Okay, we wanted to send Georg Paul Thomann to the biennial, and the interesting part about Georg Paul Thomann is that Georg Paul Thomann doesn't exist. So, we invented him. We wrote his biography. It's about 500 pages of text with lots of pictures and things he did in the 60s and 70s. He worked together with Survival Research Lab. He wrote the first Austrian cyberpunk story in 1982. He did whatever, a couple of things. Whatever. I hand you over. It's in German and English. You can flip it. So most of the time, we like sat there for 6 months and creating this like art avatar called Georg Paul Thomann, where he was, what he did, and it was a really nice, let's call it, probe into art and society, because this like long biography is a good way to deal with the last 40 years of pop history, art history, societal history, and stuff like that. We crammed everything together into this person called Georg Paul Thomann, and the good part was nobody really realized it, because I think maybe Google wasn't that great 4 years ago, but nobody really did research about Georg Paul Thomann, and all the newspapers published articles about him and said that Georg Paul Thomann would go to the biennial and stuff like that, and whatever. And so it was really interesting that even in Austria, a few people realized that Georg Paul Thomann doesn't exist, or exists in a really strange way. And of course, in Brazil, I mean, like big art fair with hundreds of artists and stuff like that, who would care about Georg Paul Thomann? So basically, we were his technical support team, and Georg Paul Thomann looked like that. Okay? That's Georg Paul Thomann. Actually, it's one of his artworks. It's called Material Study with Scanned Photo of Self in a Beer Mood and Photoshop Crystallization Filter. Okay? And many people in Brazil at the biennial asked us, "Oh, where is Georg Paul Thomann? I want to do an interview with him. I want to meet him again. I think I met him like 5 years ago, there and there, and blah, 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 blah." So, where is Georg Paul Thomann? And we said, okay, he's sitting, in his hotel room and watching porn movies, I don't know, whatever. We are just his technical support team. We are just setting up his fucking exhibition. It's pure crap. What do you want? Like, call the hotel and ask for Georg Paul Thomann, okay? A couple of people actually did that. The good part was, because we were not really the artists there, we were just a technical support team, we were like the bottom line of the hierarchy at the big art institution, because you have like the administration and the top curators and the normal curators, regular curators, you have the top artists and the regular artists, and somewhere down there is a technical support team, and of course the art guides. So actually the really important people walking around and explaining to people what's happening here. Yeah? So that's the bottom of the hierarchy in big art fairs like that. So we, of course, had good friends with all the other technical support teams and the other art guides, and we basically told them, Georg Paul Thomann, you know, doesn't exist. It's just fake. We do it out of political reasons and blah, 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 blah. But we don't tell you what to tell the people. So we tell you the story, and you can decide whatever story you want to tell them. You can to tell them it's fake. You can to tell them different stories about Georg Paul Thomann, whatever. The good part was a big rumor bubble started. It was like a geyser of rumors. Where is Thomann? Here, there, blah, blah, and he's blah, 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 okay? One nice anecdote was that we actually wanted to get our catalogs. So we went to this clerk there and said, okay, we need the art catalogs with the title and all the stuff for Georg Paul Thomann. And he said, okay, no, problem is only the artist himself, Georg Paul Thomann, can get his catalogs. And we said, no, Georg Paul Thomann doesn't exist. We invented him. He's a fake, okay? And he said, come on, you just want to get free catalogs. Fuck off, okay? So actually, our curator had to go there and get our catalogs for us. And there were many interesting stories and anecdotes about Georg Paul Thomann and his lives and times in Brazil. But a really special one I want to tell you right now. Just a couple of white cubes next to our white cube, because big art fairs are like small white cubes, like beehives. Beehive, and they're actually not talking to each other. It's like, you know, artists, individualism, they're working for themselves and not talking to any other artists. In German, there's this really nice term for it, die Warenförmigkeit des Künstlers, so the commodity value of the artist. So, and it was really clear where we live, in what society. And just like a couple of spaces next to our beehive was the beehive of Taiwan. It was the beehive of an artist called Chen Chi-chang, and he was a really nice guy, and he did a critical installation about Taiwan and asylums in Taiwan. They were like really like inhumane stuff happening there, and he did a photo story about inmates in asylums in Taiwan. So his the outside of his cube was Chen Chi-chang, Taiwan, as the outside of our cube read Georg Paul Thomann, Austria. There were adhesive letters on the outside of the white cubes. Okay, but just a couple of 2 or 3 days before the opening of the biennial, the name tag Taiwan was removed from the outside of his white cube. So there was not Chen Chi-chang Taiwan, but suddenly there was Chen Chi-chang Taipei Museum of Fine Arts. And he was really upset about that, because he was invited as the Taiwanese representative for a year, and he wanted to find out what happened, so he called the administration, and he didn't want to talk to him. He tried to talk to his curator, and the curator tried to talk to the administration. They didn't want to talk to him either. So there was big trouble ahead, and he was really pissed about the situation, because nobody tried to communicate with him, and he wrote an open letter to the other artists and asking them if they knew something, what happened, why is he not Taiwan but Taipei Museum of Fine Art. And we got this letter and did a little bit of research, and we found out that China had intervened, because, you know, one China policy, there is no thing called Taiwan, because Taiwan is still part of China. So the Chinese delegation, the Chinese artists had protested against that, and they said, okay, if Taiwan has like a known national representation there, we will basically leave the biennial, and we make like big diplomatic trouble. So they said, okay, yeah, big China, small Taiwan, okay, let's remove the name tag Taiwan, just replace it by the name of his museum, nobody will realize it's not a problem, so everyone is happy. Okay, and we thought, okay, come on, what's happening here? And then we thought we have to do some kind of a solidarity campaign, let's call it that way. We have to somehow find a way to show our solidarity with this like really small artist in a big political game. Okay, yeah, basically that's our installation. That's Georg Paul Thomann's artwork. It's really beautiful. It's from 1980s. Okay, and so we went around and asked people to donate letters. So basically, we had, like Austria, we donated a T for Taiwan. And we asked Canada, come on, Canadians, you have 3 A's, give us an A, okay, come on. Then we had an A for Taiwan. And after a couple of hours, we had all the letters Taiwan, and we could stick it on the outside. Austria, Austria, Thai, Canada. So, and suddenly there was Taiwan on the outside, yeah? Okay? We couldn't get a W, it's really hard, so we had like Puerto Rico, you know. So, and it was real nice. He was really, actually he wanted to leave the biennial, Chen Chichang, and he was really like happy what happened, and he was so proud that Taiwan was on the outside of his cube again. That and many people came, journalists, photographers, took pictures of the whole thing. Actually, just 10 minutes later, it was removed again, and we stick it up again, and it was removed again, and stick it up again. But after all, 2 or 3 days after the thing happened, we were in many newspapers in China, and especially, of course, in Taiwan. And the best headline was, Austrian artist Georg Paul Thomann saves Taiwan. So, a non-existing artist saves a non-existing country, or shouldn't exist, or something like that. So that's, I think, as radical as postmodernism can get. Okay, and basically we killed Georg Paul Thomann in 2005. He has a really nice tombstone in a small city in Tyrol, in the western part of Austria. We buried him there. Actually, we had a deal with the mayor of the small village. We actually could place this tombstone, I want to believe, Georg Paul Thomann, in a park in this little village in Tyrol. And just a couple of months later, I was called by some guy from this small village, and he told me the tombstone was removed from the park. And I said, okay, why? I mean, we had this deal with the mayor, it wouldn't be a problem, what happened? And he said, okay, just around the park, there is a mental institution. And the inmates, or the patients, spotted the tombstone and went there and brought flowers for Georg Paul Thomann. And kneeled down and prayed for Georg Paul Thomann, and so the head of the mental institution basically said, so it's not possible. We have to remove the tombstone because our patients are totally upset about the situation, and they pray and they bring flowers, and we can't tolerate that. Yeah, and that's why the tombstone was removed and put up somewhere on a field somewhere in the same village. I don't know, but I mean, we thought, okay, finally, Georg Paul Thomann can stop to non-exist, and still he non-exists somehow. Okay, so that's, I would say, the end of the Georg Paul Thomann story. If you're interested in a movie about his funeral and stuff like that, and the whole story, you go to monochrom.at/Thomann, and you can read all the stuff there. Okay, that's the story about Georg Paul Thomann. The next story is actually not a story, it's a short movie, and I hope it works. It's just 2 minutes. It's in German with English subtitles.
Ich hatte vor ungefähr 5 Jahren einen Unfall. Meine Frau und ich, wir wollten damals unser Haus renovieren, und ich habe einen guten Freund von mir eingeladen, der sollte uns dabei helfen. Und zwar wollten wir da an einem Sonntagnachmittag die Hausfassade reinigen, also den alten Verputz herunterkratzen, und dabei ist mir ein relativ großes Stück Mörtel auf den Kopf gefallen. Seitdem habe ich einen schweren neurologischen Defekt. Und zwar ist das letzte Bild stecken geblieben. Und zwar ist das Bild meines Freundes, der mir zuruft, ich soll aufpassen. Und dieses Bild sehe ich seitdem Tag aus, Tag ein. Und zwar nur dieses Bild. Ich habe dann schon sehr bald jeglichen Kontakt zu meinem Freund abgebrochen, weil ich es einfach nervlich nicht mehr ertragen hätte, neben seiner ständigen Anwesenheit in meinem Gesichtsfeld dann auch noch sozusagen akustisch mit ihm zu tun zu haben. Das hätte ich einfach nervlich nicht mehr durchgehalten. Da war ich und bin ich psychologisch viel zu instabil. Ich habe dann natürlich diverseste Nervenkliniken besucht und bin eigentlich durch ganz Europa gekommen auf der Suche nach Ärzten, die mir mit meinen Problemen helfen konnten. Und hat aber eigentlich alles nichts gebracht. Ich habe dann aber nach einiger Zeit herausgefunden, wie ich den Zustand zumindest ein bisschen ändern kann. Und zwar, wenn ich mit dem Kopf gegen den Kasten haue, dann ändert sich die Farbsättigung des Bildes. Und manchmal funktioniert es auch nochmal, dann wird die Farbsättigung nochmal verändert. Und wenn ich besonderes Glück habe und wirklich stark hinhaue, dann ändert sich auch der Kontrast. Aber das war es im Wesentlichen schon.
Of course, you can download it. Creative Commons, our God. Okay, yeah. The next thing is a typical intervention, I would call it. It's called Die Türme von Hanoi, Never Change a Running System. And I have to play two guys now. I have to play Johannes Ulmer, a good friend of ours who was the, let's call it, actor in the scene, and I have to play a bank clerk. Okay, and that's the bank clerk, and that's Johannes. Okay, yeah, okay. So, that's a bad. Marilferstrasse, Vienna, lovely. It's the Bank for Success, and that's the clerk. And you see, we have the currency exchange fees, and Johannes starts. Hello, I'd like to exchange 50 euros to dollars. Okay. Here is your receipt. And the dollars. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to exchange these to euros. We can cancel that. No, but you'll take a loss on that. Well, that's the nature of things. €44, here they are. And the leftovers, and here, $35. Fine, I'll exchange them to euros, please. So they're 31, 35 for you. I'll exchange them to dollars. Have you got some change left? I need 87 cents. Yeah, okay. You got 27? Yeah, here. Well, let's exchange them for euros then, please. Okay, 23.95. Ah, that's fine with me. Okay. All right, let's exchange them for dollars. Now, what will it be? Okay, I need 25, 23. 19. Okay. Can I get euros for that? Yeah. I have them for dollars now, please. $11. I see. Fine. Euros, please. Thanks. Thanks. Let's have a look. $2, please. Yeah. We'll be done in no time now. Okay. I'll have those for exchange, please. 40 cents. Can I change 40 cents? No. Okay. I bid you thanks then. You're welcome. Collection for the flood victims in Austria. Now we have seen how that portion of the constant capital, which consists of the instruments of labor, transfers to the production only a fraction of its value, while the remainder of the value continues to reside in those instruments. Karl Marx. Okay, question mark. Okay. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Question mark. It's a game actually for you, and you can win something. Okay, there are 20 trillion euros of cash circulating worldwide. It's only cash. It's not like gold and stuff like that and money on bank accounts. It's just cash, 20 trillion euros. How many times, how many iterations does it take to exchange 20 trillion euros to dollars, to euros, to dollars, to euros, to dollars, to euros, until it's gone? How many times? How many times? How many times? 55? I mean, if you want to calculate it. So, more guesses. 55 was, or? 10,000?
No, the spread is 3%, so it's 30.
I think it's 3.5 in Austria, I think, or something like that. Okay, but more, 25. 100,000, okay. More, come on. A million, ooh. It was really nice, like at Hope, I presented the project at Hope in summer, and one guy actually said, infinite, and I said, oh. Why? Okay, so, like 2 or 3 more guesses, please. Okay, and who will be the closest guess gets the biography of Georg Paul Thomann, okay? So, we used Excel, yeah, you know, huh? Okay, and I tell you, it's 849 times, 18 cents remainings, okay? The interesting part is, actually it would be 19 cents remaining, but there was some kind of rounding error in Excel, so like, 1 cent always goes to Bill Gates, that's all the time. Okay, so who was the closest with 849 times? 1,000, yeah, I think. Where was it? Where? You can fake it. So, whatever. There is the Georg Paul Thomann book out there, and who finds responsible? Yeah, here is it, the one... Okay, I'll do it afterwards. Okay, so, is mankind to blame? Of course. And it's online too. Good. So, and now, wake up. I am an artist, I can do whatever I like, but I won't get any funding for it. So, okay. So, the next project, we don't have too much time left. I just want to introduce you to a concept we did a couple of years ago, and we created an adventure game out of it last year. Because you might know, like inside of Austria, there's a small, tiny little republic called Soviet Unterzögersdorf. Yeah, it's really small. Yeah, it's a Schengen outer border. It has no diplomatic contacts to the fortress Austria or the fortress Europe, what you like. So, and it's really tiny, 20 kilometers. And we did a couple of tours there and showed the people from the Western world around in Soviet Unterzögersdorf and explained them how it works there. And actually, so you can discover Soviet Unterzögersdorf, we created an adventure game. You know, like adventure games are nearly dead now, and the Soviet Union is somehow dead too. We found it appropriate to use like adventure gaming and Soviets together. So if you want to download it, it's for free. That's the URL. Actually, I wanted to demonstrate it to you, but I don't have too much time left. And we are going to the next topic, that is sex. And I think you're more interested in sex than in Soviets, or maybe. Okay, good. Okay, the next project I'd like to introduce you, and I really would love if someone here would be interested to cooperate with us. It's called Ars Electronica. Okay? Basically, I already came in contact with Tina Frank yesterday, because basically she did a talk yesterday about pornography and technology. And actually, we are now for a year planning a whole conference about technology and pornography and technological innovation. I think yesterday Tina Frank said that there are a couple of hints that pornography triggered technological innovation, but I'm pretty much sure, and actually we want to invite 15 to 20 people to give a lecture and a talk about that. There is a lot we can talk about pornography and technological innovation still. Just a short comment, the first Polaroid camera that was developed was called the Swinger. You can imagine why. Okay, but if you're interested in helping us with that project, I think we'll try to do it in autumn of 2007. Please contact us. And now I'd like to show you one of the first experiments we did. Actually, it's an example, and it's not safe for work. So if you're, we're talking about pornography now, so please leave the room if you can't handle it, okay? Good. It's a short movie, like a minute, something like that. I'll show it to you, and we can discuss it afterwards. Okay. Come on. Where is it? Huh? Now it works. Yes. Takes a minute. Okay. So, but I know there will be a couple of remarks about, pornography, like the male-centered view, all that stuff. Okay, and that's why the next project I'd like to introduce to you is something about hacking, but maybe hacking language. Okay, it's called the Campaign for the Abolition of Personal Pronouns. Okay. Because you might know personal pronouns, and we think at Monochrom that one personal pronoun is enough to address men, women, whatever lies in between, and any life form capable of producing something like language. Only one, okay? It should still be possible, of course, to identify people by their sex, but only as a linguistic exception and not in everyday life. That means we have to define a new personal pronoun, and we want your help. There have been a couple of faint-hearted attempts, but there is room for radical improvement, let's call it. Minds matter and not reproductory glands. So if you're interested in helping us to get rid of the fucking personal pronouns and replacing it by one, then help us. You can sign the petition on pronoun, and we go to the next experiment we did. It's called brand marker. Okay, brand marker. You see a couple of logos from big international corporations. I mean, people not from Europe might not be familiar with Iglo or Raiffeisen and stuff like that. But basically, it doesn't matter. The project was to let's somehow short-circuit reception, or let's call it, to create a way to creatively deal with brands. You're bombarded with brands every day, okay? So we went out on the street and asked people on the street, could you draw the Coca-Cola logo from your memory on this piece of paper here? Or could you draw the Apple logo from your memory on this piece of paper, or Maggi, or Lacoste, or Adidas, or whatever. Because normally, you just have to see the brands and recognize them, but you're not usually in the, you don't have to reproduce them, okay? But we thought it very interesting and seeing how it works, and I'd like to show you a couple of results. Come on, there it is. Blank! Okay, shit. So, okay. It's called actually share of mind. If you talk in what examples would you like to see? I'm sure you want to see Apple. Huh? You want to see Apple? Ah, you want to see Apple. Of course, you want to see Apple. Ah, come on. Fuck. I like this. I asked him, I mean, why the stripes? Because I actually wanted to hear, you know, Apple logo, many colors and stuff like that. And then he said, oh no, I somehow mixed it up with IBM. Apple, of course, think different, just think different. Yeah, of course, think different. What's that? I don't know. Color scheme. And actually, where's the nerd? Where's the nerd? There's the nerd, of course. There's the nerds. As I spot the nerds. Okay, so for Apple, another one. What do you want to see? Cola or what? Lacoste. Sperm. You look at that. I mean, they're like, some of them are like crocodiles, some of them is like spermatozoa or something like that. I don't know. It's critical, you know. Look at this one. It's beautiful. It's like a Boeing. Look at that. It's like a Boeing. This one is really great. Yeah, Lacoste. Good, but the part is, yeah, of course it's funny, but actually we didn't do it to make fun about people, because we at Monochrom, we tried it ourselves, we couldn't do it either. So it was just a creative way to deal with this reception mode. I think I'll show you want a Coca-Cola or Toyota? Toyota is really, really great. Look at that. That looks like Wayland Yutani for Alien fans. I mean, I don't know. Toyota. The magic mushroom. And maybe the last one. Cola. Okay, show you Coke. Blanc. Coke actually is quite nice. Enjoy. They're quite accurate. Some of them write it with K. But most of them get it, of course. Yeah, Coca-Cola is one of the most well-known brands in the world. And then I asked, for this one here, okay? And I thought, because obviously it's the Pepsi logo, the old Pepsi logo. And I asked the guy, so why actually did you draw the Pepsi logo? Is it some kind of political statement? Do you want to be different? Or why did you draw Pepsi? And he said, oh no, fuck, I mixed it up. I don't know the most important brand in the world, quote. And I said, okay, come on, it's not the most important brand in the world. Don't forget the cross. I mean, whatever, it doesn't matter. But he was really upset about his memory. Okay, good. I would say let's go to the next project. You can have a look at the brand marker results yourself if you like. Let's go to actually the last part of the talk. I think it should be like, how many minutes have I left? Really? So many? Okay, then a couple of questions afterwards. Okay, so let's call it the grand finale, or not the grand finale, okay? It's a song for you. We composed it especially for the CCC, Roland and myself. We played it on a guitar 2 days ago, but now we want to present you with the disco version. So I have to go to the next, if you click here, it tries to start a MIDI file, a window message appears, and warns you about malware. How ironic, okay? So I'll click. 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 Jesus, there's trouble ahead. I said Jesus is totally sad. But Jesus, the future lies in your hand, 'cause it's all about surveillance. Comrades, you know what I mean? Well, comrades, there's new pack on the scene. Come on, comrades, stand up, fight for your right. There's a need for your experience. It's time to hack RFID. It's time to hack the RFID. Technology is just a matter of choice. You can microwave all their toys. RFID. They want to store everything about you, but there's plenty of things you can do. Own it! It's the way to resist. I said own it! Let's call it digital fist. Own it! There isn't much time left for civil disobedience. Awesome! There's a lot we can share. Awesome! Let's destroy the nightmare. I said awesome! A million lines of code, we just need the right compiler. I'm not doing it. You use it in passwords and ciphers you buy, but fuck it, it's all a lie. RFID, you'll find it after you. My cat. No thoughts. Grab them all by yourself. Put your pride on the shelf. Hack it. Fuck it. 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 RFID. Oh my God. RFID. Unfortunately, it's only the lyrics so far. and yeah, I think there was one really nice guy from the Netherlands. We had a rehearsal 2 days ago with the guitar. I mean, the disco version is always a little more funky than the guitar version, but there's a guitar version on the net somewhere on YouTube. YouTube. Okay. Good. How many minutes more do I have left? A couple of them. 12. Okay. So I would say many people here might have a couple of questions, and I try to answer them. And maybe I'll tell you a couple of more anecdotes if it works in the answering of the questions. So, please. Or if you're interested in the special project I didn't show or a project I showed, just go ahead and ask. Yes, please. Yeah, okay. You're interested in a special project. Okay. Question about one of those projects? That's what I meant. Okay. Okay, maybe I can show you. Okay, maybe I show you something more. Nah. There we have a song about the overhead projector. No, we had wanking on overhead projectors right now. Okay, maybe I'll tell you about Viennese factionism. We have a couple of minutes more left, and if you don't have any questions, then I'll tell you about this one. The problem nowadays with art, and I think you're not like from the art scene and stuff like that, but you might know it, that there's a problem with getting attention, there's a problem with getting the messages across, stuff like that, especially if you work in political art. In the 60s in Austria, there was a movement called Viennese actionism. In the 60s, it was quite, let's call it, easy to provoke, because in the 60s, especially in Austria, there were rather rigid, a rigid societal framework, let's call it, okay? So it was quite easy, for example, for a guy like the artist Günter Bruce to walk on an open place in Vienna with a white suit and a stripe of blood on his suit, to walk out there, walk around for a couple of minutes, and he was arrested by the police. I mean, nowadays, if you walk around in a white suit with a bloodline on your suit, you might get a photo on Flickr or something like that. But you are not getting on the front page of a big newspaper, like, for example, the right-wing Kronenzeitung in Austria. Okay, so we thought a lot about what happened between the 60s and nowadays, that it's really hard to do the thing called actionism. What happened, okay? First of all, of course, the society changed, because in the 60s we had this, Michel Foucault would call it the disciplinary society. Disciplinary society means you come from, let's say, you're born. Of course, you're born. Yeah, you're born, and then you go. Yeah, then then the parents, and the parents they teach you, and then you go to the kindergarten, and you're being taught there, and then you go to the school, and then you go to the military services, or you go to the university, you go to the workplace, and all those institutions are here to disciplinary institutions. The good part about that was that you actually could rebel against it, because, for example, you know that maybe yourself, if you're working and you say, okay, I go to the toilet now, and then I'll stay on the toilet 10 minutes longer. And my boss, fuck my boss, 10 minutes on the toilet, fine, why not? Okay. So there was always this dichotomy between, like, we, the workers, and the guys who basically we work for, okay? There was always this, like, we and them. And in the 60s, 70s, 80s, there was a slow change between the so-called disciplinary society and the so-called control society, as, for example, Deleuze calls it. The control society, nowadays, sometimes people call it neoliberal society. I would rather call it control society. The control society problem is that nowadays we are all our own bosses. And if I'm my own boss, and if I'm working for myself, so if, like, the control and the power is inside of myself, then I won't stay on the toilet 10 minutes longer, because, I'm stealing my own time. So, and we have many problems with flat hierarchies, There are big corporations with flat hierarchies. But still, flat hierarchies are hierarchies. I mean, it doesn't, is that a hierarchy and that not? I mean, there's a boss. The boss tells you what to do. And even in German, it's really interesting. Wenn du mit deinem Boss per Du bist, ist immer noch dein Boss. So there is no concept for that in English. But if you're like a good pal of your boss, it's still the boss. So what's the difference? So the interesting part is it's getting more and more complicated to rebel against something, because the society, and especially like the new forms of capitalism, have a really, really clever way to subsume rebellion. And that's one of the main reasons, for example, the art of the 60s doesn't work anymore nowadays. I mean, most of the stuff the Viennese actionists did are by far they painted with blood, and this and that. But if you turn on Jackass, most of the stuff on Jackass is far, far, far far more explicit than what the Viennese actionists did in the 60s. But they somehow changed the art field and society somehow. Okay, so long intro. That's why we did a project called Viennese Factionism, turning the actionism to the factionism, and show you a couple of pictures. That's monochrom member Harald, and he's sitting there, and like in an Austrian wine tavern, and that's me on the lower right corner. And we're waiting there because we want to eat something. We are sitting there in this really rustic Austrian place, and we want to eat something. Okay, but what do we want to eat? We drink a little bit of wine, you know, and we had some good stuff from the Austrian kitchen, and you see it here. It's called auto blood sausage. So we're waiting there, and then we give a little bit of blood, quarter of a liter about. It was a little messy stuff, you know, and then we spoil a little bit of it, you know, and that's mine because. So and now our colleague Harald makes the blood sausage, okay, and the people look and he fills it into the sausage, and he cooks a little bit of the sausage and. I'm eagerly awaiting. First of all, I have to tell you, of course, we paid for our own blood sausage. €5. And there it is. Tasted great. I mean, blood sausage. Who knows blood sausage? It's not really tasty for me, but it's not really tasty for me with my own blood. Okay, and we ate it, and our chef was really proud that we ate it. I want to be part of a blood group, okay? Yeah, the problem, or not the problem, was that we said, okay, we do a performance that is by far worse than anything the Viennese actionists did in the 60s. We eat our own blood in a blood sausage, and we'll do that, and we'll make big propaganda for it, and press releases, and blah, 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 blah. Actually, many, many people showed up. A couple of them puked. But we said, we'll not make it in any fucking newspaper in Austria. We won't do it. Especially, we won't get on the front cover of the Kronenzeitung. We didn't actually we proved that somehow things changed. It was an interesting experiment on how things are different and the same, but we are still working on the project, and maybe we'll do a couple of more projects that somehow relate to this strange thing called art system, art market, society and art, blah, 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 stuff like that. I mean, yeah, we tried. Maybe questions about this one here? I don't know what, but it's a long PowerPoint presentation, I don't know. Maybe this one. Maybe this one. Okay, I'll show you this one too. Scrota contra vota. We had this thing a couple of projects ago, you know, like gender and stuff like that, and especially like in modern societies, most of the crap that is happening is actually produced by men, you know. Somehow, you can see it by the empirical means, you know, how many female and male politicians are there and stuff like that. So we thought we want to have a project how men can articulate their political will. Okay? So we said, okay, come to us, sit down on the flatbed scanner, and we scan your scrotum. For example, like this. Or this. Or this. Or this. Okay, just a couple of examples. And we collect the scrota, and then we'll email them to politicians. We actually did that a couple of years ago, and 2 weeks later, the Austrian government collapsed. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it worked. Maybe it's too monocausal. But you know, what can we do? A little bit about scrota against water. What's the next one? Mobutobe. Yeah. Excellent. People asking us about our projects. That's fine. I don't have to show the crap in the PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, we did a project last year. It was a big project called Experience the Experience. So Experience, we were invited to the States, to a couple of towns there, cities there, and we found it really interesting that there is this concept of experience in English language. Because experience is more than just Erfahrung. It's not really translatable to German experience, but there is experience everywhere. Disney experience, dining experience, the bush experience. It's experiences, all kinds of experiences. And we thought, okay, we bring new experiences from Europe to the States, and we did a tour called Experience the Experience. And we, for example, did experience the experience of being buried alive. So we buried people alive for 15 minutes in a coffin. Or we did, for example, experience the experience of a Magnetism Party. And the Magnetism Party was, the theoretical background about this one was that there's this big talk about information overload and stuff like that. Most like conservative, pessimistic people, cultural conservativists, always talk about there's too much information and we can handle them and stuff like that. And so we somehow condensed this fear of information and of the information overload in this performance, and we asked people to bring their credit cards, hard drives, iPods, whatever, and we had a couple of really, really strong magnets. So the people could come, and then we would like wipe them. We had 2 iPods erased. And afterwards they had to exchange the hard drives. I'm so sorry about that one. Okay, but it was really nice because the situation itself was quite clear. We were sitting there on a table with a couple of magnets, and people were coming, handing us their technical devices and their cards, and then we were wiping them, and then they were going away. And the good part was that many of the people just started to discuss what's happening here. People from the street came in. What are you doing? You're wiping your iPod. You can't do that. That's like burning books and stuff like that. It's strange. Come on. So, and that's like, I think most of the monochrome projects somehow deal with this interaction, because like the thing itself was really like, I mean, that's the most boring thing you can do, like magnetically erasing hard drives. Come on, yeah? But the good part is that people somehow start to discuss about what's happening. And then you talk about information and information overload and what happens to society and what happens to books and should there be. And then there was this big discussion about electronic books. Oh no. yeah. But somehow it's nice to trigger discussions like that. I think that's one of the main reasons we at Monochrome do our projects. Because some of the things are really like funny, somehow crazy, but most of them have a somehow like political backgrounds, and it's good to implement a couple of routines into the minds of people. Let's call it that way. There's a good quote by Mao Zedong, who basically said that in America they have this really wonderful concept of sugar-coated bullets. So, for example, there's Mickey Mouse, and Mickey Mouse is a clear way of, let's call it, American cultural imperialism, something like that, but nobody would see it as imperialism because everybody loves Mickey Mouse. It's nice, it's fine, it's a cartoon, whatever, yeah? And that's what Mao Zedong calls sugar-coated bullets, because they're bullets nonetheless, but they're sugar-coated. And I think like it's fine to have concepts, like clear political or theoretical or philosophical concepts, and do a little bit of icing on top of it, and then let's see how it works. I mean, it's very sad. I mean, if, let's say, the best books of Foucault, for example, would be videos on YouTube, I'm not sure how many people would view them. They're long, they're complicated, but you have to provide the people a kind of entry forum, let's call it. I mean, many people who were discussing with us and saw projects we did somehow started to dig a little bit deeper, and that's the only thing we can do. I mean, we can. I mean, it's part of postmodernism. We are all children of postmodernism, and I don't know if we can escape that or not. But I think it's a good way to stimulate. We don't know what we can stimulate, but it's at least good to stimulate. More questions? Oh, fine, great.